When I woke up on the third night, our tent zipper was already halfway open from the outside. The same width the empty tent's zipper had been the day we arrived. Except this time, we were still inside, and none of us had moved. I remember lying there completely still, staring at the dark flap as it hung open in the middle of the night. The sound that woke me was already gone, but I could still feel it in my chest, that slow, careful pull of the zipper from the outside, like someone had been testing how quiet they could be. My dad was on my left, breathing slow and deep. My sister was on my right, curled up small under her sleeping bag. Neither of them had heard it, or if they had, they hadn't moved either. I didn't call out. I didn't reach for the flashlight. I just laid there, heart pounding so hard I was sure whoever was out there could hear it, and waited. After a while, I reached over as slowly as I could and pulled the zipper back up from the inside, my fingers shaking so badly I almost couldn't grip it. Then I stayed awake until the sky started to turn gray. By the time morning came, I had almost convinced myself I'd imagined the whole thing. My family has been coming to this campground for 15 years. Same site every summer, number 14, tucked back near the tree line with a partial view of the lake through the branches. It started when I was a kid. After my mom left, it became something my dad held onto, something steady, something that didn't change no matter what else did. This year it was just the three of us again. Me, my dad, and my younger sister. I was 23 and probably should have stopped coming, but I never did. There was something about the place that still felt like it belonged to us. We got there later than usual, around 4 in the afternoon. Construction on the highway had slowed us down, and by the time we turned onto the gravel road, the sun was already low behind the ridge. My dad parked in our usual spot and killed the engine. For a second, none of us moved. That's when I noticed the tent. It was set up on the empty site right next to ours. A plain green dome, zipper open a few inches at the top. No car, no cooler, no chairs, just a tent, sitting there like it had been waiting for us. My dad glanced at it and shrugged. Probably went into town for supplies, he said. While we unloaded, I noticed something in the dirt near the front of the empty tent. A single boot print, pressed in deep, facing our direction. Not a trail leading up to it. Not a trail leading away. Just the one print, like whoever left it had stood in that exact spot and simply stayed. I didn't say anything. I told myself I was tired from the drive. By dark, nobody had come back to that site. We ate dinner faster than usual and didn't sit outside long afterward. Nobody said why. We just went to bed earlier than normal. Around midnight, I woke up to breathing. Not wind, not the lake. Breathing. Slow and deliberate, right on the other side of our tent wall, close enough that the fabric pulled in slightly with every inhale, like something was pressed directly against it from the outside. I held my own breath without thinking. The breathing didn't stop. It just kept going, steady and unbothered, like it didn't care whether I was awake or not. It lasted almost 4 minutes. When it finally stopped, I turned my head and saw my sister's eyes already open in the dark. She was staring at the same spot on the wall, her breathing shallow and fast through her nose, the kind of breathing you do when you're trying not to make any sound at all. I reached over slowly and squeezed her arm once. She squeezed back hard and didn't let go for a long time. Neither of us said a word. In the morning, fresh prints circled our tent in a complete loop. In 2 places, they landed directly on top of prints we'd left ourselves the day before, like whoever made them had walked our exact path before we ever had a reason to walk it ourselves. I told my dad everything that morning, the breathing against the tent wall, the loop of prints, the way my sister had gone quiet and stayed that way. He walked a circle slowly, following it out toward the tree line until it thinned into the underbrush and disappeared without any clear direction. We almost left right then. My dad started pulling gear toward the truck. But every other site within 2 hours was already booked, and it was going to be dark long before we could reasonably find somewhere else to stay. We decided to leave first thing the next morning instead. Even as we agreed on it, it felt like the wrong decision. That afternoon, the other tent's zipper had opened wider. Inside, for the first time, there was something visible. A folding chair, angled slightly forward, the way someone sits when they've been leaning towards something for a long time without moving. The armrests had dark smudges worn into the fabric where hands had rested long enough to leave a mark. My sister barely spoke after that. She stayed close to my dad the rest of the evening, flinching every time a branch cracked somewhere beyond the fire. When I asked if she was okay, She just shook her head slightly and kept staring at the flames like answering might invite something closer. We barely slept that third night. My dad sat up near the dying fire with a flashlight and the tire iron across his lap. Around 2 in the morning, footsteps crossed the gravel and stopped just outside the ring of firelight. My dad stood up slowly. The footsteps went completely silent for almost a full minute before finally moving off, fading back toward the other tent. Nobody checked. In the morning, the chair hadn't disappeared. It had moved closer to our tent, close enough that whoever last sat in it could have watched us sleep through the mesh window without ever standing up. At sunrise, we started breaking down camp as fast as we could. That's when I heard our own zipper. From the outside, being pulled down slow and deliberate, the way someone draws something out when they want you to hear every inch of it. It stopped at almost the exact width the other tent's zipper had been opened the very first day we arrived. Nobody in the tent moved. Nobody breathed loudly enough to be heard. We just watched the gap widen, inch by inch, until it stopped. My dad finally grabbed the tire iron and tore the flap open the rest of the way. There was nothing there. Just the gray morning light and the sound of our own hearts working too hard in the silence that followed. We threw everything into the truck bed, wet and dirty, and left without looking back. The other tent's chair was already gone by then. The flap zipped shut completely for the first time since we'd arrived. At the campground office, my dad reported everything to the woman behind the desk. She pulled up the file for the site next to ours and told him it had never been rented that week. No reservation, no payment, nothing on record. Then she paused, glancing back at her screen like she was deciding whether to say more, and told him a family had also left 2 days early the week before us. Same site number. She said the office had gotten one noise complaint from another camper that week, but when staff walked over to check it out, the site was already empty, tent, gear, everything, gone before anyone got there to look. She didn't try to explain that. She just closed the folder, apologized, and told us she hoped the rest of our summer went better. We got home 2 days later. Nobody talked much on the drive. That night, walking up to lock the front door, I saw a single boot print pressed into the dirt just off the edge of the porch, facing the house. I stood there for a while, telling myself it could belong to a delivery driver or a neighbor. But delivery drivers don't usually step off the walkway into the flower bed just to leave a print angled toward the window instead of the door. I didn't sleep much that night. I left the hallway light on and kept my phone charged and close, just in case. It's been almost 3 weeks now. I haven't found another print since, and nothing else has happened, at least nothing I've noticed. But I still check that spot by the porch every time I come home, just to be sure it's still empty. I don't think I'll ever go back to that campground. And some nights, lying awake, I still wonder if whoever it was ever actually left, or if they're just better at waiting than we've ever been at watching.